Hey, what's up, YouTube family? It's your favorite black guy from Nebraska. Yes, it's black people in Nebraska. And today, I'm going to read from a book that I got off of archive.org. You can get this book. You can go to archive.org. Right now, it's a worldwide library. Give free books, free information. Make yourself an account, and you can look up and you can find stuff like this. They said if you want to hide things, what you do is you put it in books, because people do not like to read. They don't like to research, and they don't like to find out things for themselves. They like to be told what to think, how to act, and what to believe in. But we're going to read from this book. There's a lot of chapters in this book. There's a lot of information in this book. I'm going to try to get you guys kind of wean out some of the stuff that's like not necessary, or just get to the meat and potatoes of the situation. So we're going to read from this book, and we're going to find out some really interesting things outside of this book. The chapter we're going to read today is how the American Indian was reclassified to Negro, colored, and black. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. From Indians to Negroes, deemed Negroes slaves, and doomed to plantations, death, and departure. What is a Negro? In 1854, the California State Supreme Court sought to bar all non-whites from equal citizenship and civil rights. The court stated, the word black may include all Negroes, but the term Negro does not include all black persons. We are of the opinion that words white, Negro, mulatto, and black person, whenever they occur in our Constitution, must be taken in the generic sense, that the words black person in the 14th section must be taken as contradistinguished from white, and necessarily includes all races other than the Caucasian. So, being considered Negro, according to the U.S. Supreme Court, is not based upon the color of your skin, then why are we taught Negro means all black persons? What it means to be Negro: Nagra, Negre, Indian, Indios, in the Americas. How to understand the complex history of the word Negro and its first uses towards the American Indian population of the 13 colonies and Spanish territories during colonization. Negro was first introduced into the Americas, referring to the people Spanish came in contact with when exploring the Americas, using descriptions like Negro de Terra, referring to them as blacks of the land, or just Negro, including Negro, which was applied to black female. The word was only picked up by the other European colonies in trade with the Spain only after settling in the Americas. Traditionally, Europeans used Ethiopian, more when identifying a so-called black race of Africa. Here is an illustration of the nations that were originally called Negro de Terra. Continue on the next page for a larger image. And there's words up under this image that I particularly cannot read, but you'll be able to read because the video editor I'm using does not allow me to kind of focus on those words without messing up my content. So we're going to go ahead and go to the next page. I'm going to show you guys some images that you guys will find pretty interesting, like I did. Well, wasn't it first used to describe people of the African continent? The word negrito, the diminutive of Negro, is used to mean little black person. This usage was coined by 16th century Spanish missionaries operating in the Philippines, which was discovered in 1521. It was borrowed by later European travelers and colonists across Austronesia to label various peoples perceived as sharing relatively small physical stature and dark skin. Contemporary usage of an alternative Spanish epithet, negritos, also tended to bundle these peoples with the pygmy peoples of the Central Africa on the basis of perceived similarities in stature and complexion. The label negrito has also been used to refer to African pygmies who weren't discovered until the 1860s. In this picture, you're going to see an illustration of the meeting of Spanish conquistador Hernan Cortez and Aztec ruler Montezuma Moctezuma Shusma II in 1519 CE, J. the First Kislok collection. So this is the actual picture of the Spanish conquistadors, coming into contact with the Aztec rulers. I'm going to show you more pictures like this, which illustrates the beginning of colonization in these areas. Okay, so there's this picture. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next one. All right, here we have another picture that depicts the 1521 fall of the Tenochtitlan. I'm going to butcher these words, so please forgive me. By the Spanish conquistador Hernan Cortez and the Spanish conquest of the Aztec Empire. So these are pictures that are illustrating the Spanish colonizing and plundering the Aztec Empire. And as you look at the depictions of these individuals, you will see variations of, Aztec people and what the people who look like that came over as Spanish conquistadors. So just something interesting to note. And we're going to move on to the next picture. And this is the last picture we're going to check out before we get back to the information. This picture depicts Montezuma being taken and held by the Spanish while his army fights to retrieve him. And if you take a look at the individuals who are at the bottom, who are fighting, trying to retrieve Montezuma, you'll find some similarities between American Indians, Black people, Negros. You'll find that there are quite a lot of similarities. So let's go ahead and get back to the information at hand, shall we? After the Spanish plundered the kingdom, they turned to massacre and enslave thousands of the inhabitants and claims they were sinners and used the Catholic religion to justify the cruel and brutal murders of these nations. How brutal? Before we continue, let's read one example of what was done to the Indian nations by the Spanish throughout different regions in the name of religion. Where I'm not going to read that, I'm going to read the translation, okay? The words that are blacked out there. I'm going to read the translation. True and throughout account, the Hispanic, growing and detestable tyranny committed by them in the West Indies, so-called the New World. So many millions of them were strangled and killed and died there without faith and sacrament, since the truth in the masses all. Also, the tyrants themselves have to confess that the Indians in the past India have never been too much of a nuisance to the Hispaners, but they were harassed, robbed, strangled, overwhelmed, tortured, and then extremely plagued by the Hispanics. On the island of Hispaniola, in which the Hispanics attacked the Indians, who took their wives and children by force, the poor Indians started to seek a way how they would bring the Hispanics back out of their country and defended themselves. But unfortunately, their resistance is small to fight against armed people, because of which their war was only child's play against to be attributed to ours. The Hispanics soon looked at them with their horses and with their spears and swords. Whatever they found, they stabbed everything to the ground. Then they fell into the village and spared no one, neither young nor old. Also, pregnant women and children strangled everything as if they were rumbling around under a bunch of caged sheep. They have bets with each other, which one could stretch one in the middle in half, or cut off one's head, or open one's body so that the entrails came out and fell. This is disgusting, man. But this is what happened. The poor little creatures were snatched off their mother's breasts and threw them against the rocks. Now, if you read the Bible, you know and understand that in biblical times, that's what happened as well. That the brains stuck to them. Wow. Others threw them into the waters, and when they dumped, they laughed and mocked them and sold. Swim now. Others were strangled along with their mothers, and if they only met them, everyone must die. They set up high and low gallows where they almost touched the ground with their feet. They hung on it 13 Indians to honor as they were sold. Our Redeemer and his 12 apostles, and made a few so underneath and buried them alive. The others whom they wanted to give life to, they took off both hands, hanged them on them around their necks, and said, "Run with these and bring them like that to the mountains to the other Indians can see." And paragraphs. After they murdered majority of the warrior class, they implemented a caste system that existed throughout Spain prior, which gives us all the classifications we use today, like Negro, mulatto, Creole, Sambo, and many more. On the next chapter, we're going to explain in detail how these costs came into existence prior to touching the Americas. So the caste system, the classification system that we have now, black, Negro, white, things of that nature, was brought here, it seems, by the Spanish, the Europeans who came and plundered these lands and reclassified everybody to what we know now. Reclassified black people to a color, a crayon color, as if these people had no history, heritage, lineage, or anything of that nature. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm going to be reading a lot more out of this book. Like I said, you can go to archive.org and you can read the same information. You can get this information yourself and you can make content yourself. And what I also realized after I read this, this is quite eerily similar to what happened to the Black Irish who were shipped to the West Indies, Africa, the Americas, and Jamaica. The same thing happened to them. The English, like Oliver Cromwell, deported them, enslaved them, sent them to these various places, and then took their property and assumed the identity of the people. So a lot of these things happen because a lot of these things are the same people that are doing them. So, this is just great information. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm going to add probably a little bit more to this content after this so that you guys can really get more of an understanding of what's going on here. Okay, I want to go ahead and add this to the content as well. This is very important. This gives credence to information. It gives credence to evidence. The first landing in the first indigenes noted in Varenzo's voyage, which is a European settler, along the Atlantic coast of North America by Varenzo Giovanni du 1485 to 1527. This is a paragraph taken from the publication. When describing the Algonquin and Iroquois nations of the Carolinas, they mentioned Ethiopian, which at that time meant what they considered Negro and or black features. It says here they are dark in color, not much unlike the Ethiopians. Now, when they described Ethiopia was also a place, but it also used Ethiopia to describe the color of an individual or the ethnicity of an individual. And hair black and thick and not very long. Not much unlike similar to. Its texture is not unlike that of oatmeal. Not unlike is slightly different than saying like. Much like saying I love apples. And it's not the same thing as saying I don't hate apples. It emphasizes a different degree of likeness. Not unlike just means that there exist similarities, while like means they are completely similar. So I just wanted to add this to the content. This gives more understanding of where I'm going with this information and where the author is going with this information. So there's a lot of information out there that gives credence to black people being American Indians and already being here. Many different sets of black people. Okay. There's not just one set of black people. There are many different sets of black people. Just like when you go to Africa, you know and understand that not every African is the same. There are many different sets of Africans within that nation, different tribes. So when you come to the Americas and you find different black people in different places, there are many different tribes of black people throughout the Americas. And I think that this book proves that. So, man, you got to get this book. I'm going to create a lot more content off this book. This book is long. There's a lot of information in it. So there's a lot of information to be given, to be put out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please look over the information. If you don't agree with the information, then that's fine. But there's no need to throw a hissy fit in the comment section if you don't. If you don't agree with it, hey, man, it is what it is. Keep it pushing. It's your favorite black guy from Nebraska. Yes, it's black people in Nebraska. I'm out. Peace.